Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Spotlight with Tacoma Community College. We're about to start in just a few seconds. I'd just like to remind everyone watching live that you can ask questions, and at the end there'll be answers. We'll go over them. But if not, again, we're going to be recording this, so you'll be able to find this video later on our YouTube page or on Facebook as well. So without further ado, please welcome Katie Van Wyck.
Hey,
Katie, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How's everything by you?
Good. It's pretty sunny here. Well, it's been sunny these past few days, but it was cold last week, so it's been good. Okay, so let's get right into it then. The first thing that I think many of the viewers might want to know about and have questions usually when they come to us is community college. So in this case particularly, what does that mean? What does that entail? Or how is it different from a regular college or university?
Yeah, I get that question all the time. They say Tacoma Community College. Like, does that mean you're bad? Does that mean it's not university? So I guess, first of all, the word community just means that we were established to serve the city we are in, which is Tacoma. So as our name implies, we're in Tacoma, Washington, and our purpose is to serve the people who live here or choose to live here, if you're an international student, and to make sure that you can find a job in our area. So we're always trying to connect to the industry here, to to what Tacoma has to offer. And as a community college, we're offering the same classes you would take at a university for that bachelor's degree, but it's only for the first 2 years. So it's a shortened degree. It's essentially half of a bachelor's. You do 2 years at community college and then 2 years at university, calling it a 2+2. So the quality of education is the same. It's just going to be a little bit shorter and a slightly different route to that bachelor's degree.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty important to point out because in Mexico, for example, if you do a career or you go to university and just do 2 years, that's not a possibility. So having that option there is very good because sometimes I'm pretty sure students might do that if they want to study first and then work a bit and then study again, or depending on what their actual plan is. So that's actually pretty interesting. You mentioned that students actually go. So how international is the school? Like how many countries do you have students from?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Tacoma is a mid-sized city. It's not too big, has about 250,000 people. And our campus is kind of small compared to that. And that's because there are other universities in Tacoma also. There are 4 institutions of higher education, so we're one of them. There's about 200 international students on our campus. And I looked just before this, they represent 35 different countries. So pretty diverse, small population. We've got one student from a lot of different places. And so if you come to Tacoma, you end up kind of representing your country, your culture, but you'll find people from the region, just maybe not your exact country. Tacoma is a city that was also very international. So lots of people from all over the world, different ethnic backgrounds. So many of our local students actually come from racially and ethnically diverse backgrounds too.
Okay. And on campus itself, what are some of the main programs that are highlighted there?
Yeah, so I mentioned before, we're in the city of Tacoma. It's about 45 minutes south of Seattle, which is the second largest tech hub in the US. Okay. And so a lot of the programs we have kind of play into that. You study engineering to go work at Boeing. You study computer science to go work at Microsoft. So definitely those tech degrees are big, but also business. And Tacoma's a pretty artsy city. So we also have a lot of like media and visual arts or architecture students.
Okay. So there's a lot to do in the city, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some students might think, oh, it's a small city. Is it big? What's it like to actually, the living experience for the student?
Yeah, so the campus is located in a part of town that kind of has a lot going on. So surrounding campus, there are a few restaurants. There's Mexican, there's Thai, there's Vietnamese, there's Japanese. You can find kind of this whole array of different foods. There's a grocery store, so you can go grocery shopping. And then there's all these like cool things for students. So there's gyms and workout facilities, but there's a roller skating rink, kind of if you want to old fashioned toss on your skates. There's a laser tag facility that a lot of our students do as part of our orientation. So they get here and we pay for them to go do that together. There's a bowling alley, kind of all those things for students to do together if they want to just walk across the street from campus and hang out with their friends. Of course, coffee shops, that's easy too if you want to find a place to study that's not right on campus. So lots within walking distance. But then there's also the bus station. So for the entire city of Tacoma, the transit center is on our campus. So students can just jump on the bus and, get to the mall within 5 minutes. They can get to the zoo in 10 minutes. They can get to these museums. So really easy to get around the city and to do other fun things.
And apart from the 2-year academic program, so being an associate's program and then the 2+2, what other main differences would you say are important for students to know that might be something that might make them say, hey, you know what, let's take this into consideration a lot more? Because I'm sure the difference of the name and just being something they haven't heard before might create a lot of doubt. So to help the students viewing and the parents viewing with them have a bit of more security or have more information when it comes to community colleges.
Yeah, so there are a lot of differences, and some of them might be small, but they are something that students should take into consideration. So like one thing I think that makes university and community college totally different is the professors. So a professor at a university, they teach your class, but then they also do research and they spend a lot of their time outside of the classroom working. At a community college, the professor only teaches, like that's their job. So you're paying a lot less money because you're paying for just your professor's time, not for them to do research and teach you, just for them to teach you. But that can be good and bad. Some students want to do research with their professor. They want to do that early on in their university career. And so they might want a bigger campus where that's happening. Where the community college, you're really just getting one-on-one time with that professor. So that's one difference. Another big difference, like I mentioned, is cost. Community college is just a lot more affordable. Tuition, half to 1/3 of what you'd pay at a university. So you do save a lot of money, but that means you have to change venues after 2 years. And so if you're willing to make that change, it can be great. I mean, Tacoma's amazing. You can stay here, or you can move to another state after 2 years, try something different. And that can be a big plus. But for someone who's nervous about change, oh, maybe I want to stay in one place all 4 years. But that's the nice thing about Tacoma. We have universities here. You don't actually have to move cities, you just move campuses. So there's good and bad to everything. You just have to know what you're getting into, right?
And how is that move actually done? So once the student's done with those 2 years, are you guys partnered with any other universities that, might make it easier?
Absolutely. So we want to create that pathway, make a smooth transition for the student. So we have about 30 universities that we partner with across the United States. So like I said, the US is huge. If you come here, maybe you've been dreaming of New York City, Boston, maybe Chicago. So if you start in Tacoma and you say, I like it, but I want to travel the US, I want to see more, then you could choose a university partner of ours that's in a different city or state. Or you can choose a partner that's right here in our same city. So we have 30 universities. Our advisors help you submit your application materials to go to that school. But the 30 partners we have, it is a guaranteed pathway. So if you graduate from Tacoma Community College, you have admission on that campus. So it kind of takes away that pressure, that fear. Ooh, I don't know if I'm going to get in. That we have those 30 partners already.
So it's a good first step for many students that might be unsure or might feel like they don't have that GPA or something like that.
Exactly. You get a whole 2 years to basically rebuild your resume. You can get work experience, volunteer experience, better GPA, and then you're kind of putting yourself into that admission hat in year 3.
And in this case, specifically for you guys, but just overall in general with community colleges, are there any special tests that have to be done, interviews, English proficiency?
That's a great question. So no. So another great reason to choose a community college is you can just forget the standardized tests. So TOEFL, IELTS, not required for admission. SAT, ACT, don't even bother with it. We want to make it simple. And so we have an English language program. If you're unsure about your language abilities and perhaps need English before taking business or engineering classes, then you would join our English program before enrolling in those classes. So it's very fluid. You come to us with your current ability level, whether that's English, math, anything, and we meet you where you're at and help you build to get to university.
Okay. And is it something also that can be done that sports are, also integrated into the programs, or is it something that's not? Because some students have no idea, and this is something that they might want to know as well. Can they keep playing football or soccer or basketball, whatever they do?
I'm actually glad you asked that, because I think when students think about the United States and coming to a university, like they think hoorah, rah, like the sporting events are huge. And I have my little like TCC Titans. So we do have athletics. They're not the same level as a D1 university, but they are very competitive and they're very good. Our soccer team has taken first or second in we call it the NWAC division, and NWAC champions for the last 3 years. So they're talented athletes, and they go on to university level sports teams. So athletics is still a big part of who we are. We just don't have as many sports because we're not as big. So there are 6 athletic teams.
Okay. So does that also help when it comes to maybe seeking a scholarship later on when they move to the next university?
Yeah, so our athletic department has small scholarships. They're not full funding, but they are available. And when it comes to going to university, absolutely. That year 3, they're eligible to apply for athletic scholarships and can definitely get into bigger schools.
Okay. And a part of academics and sports, are there other activities that other students can join in, like, for example, clubs?
Yeah. So again, when you think of the United States, obviously academics are important, but it's really everything outside of the classroom that makes U.S. higher education really special. And Tacoma offers that too. So we have an entire office dedicated to student clubs and activities. If a club doesn't exist that you want to join, you can build it. So for example, we had some really athletic international students a few years ago, and they were like, we love volleyball. Can we make a volleyball club? I said, absolutely. So they started the volleyball club. They play every single week together in the gym. And so it's a really big part of creating community, connecting with your peers, is being part of those clubs and activities. Other activities, there's a carnival every spring where there's games and events and things that come to campus for you to have fun. Lots of speakers who come and kind of help talk about different topics or book clubs. So definitely ways to get involved in areas that you're interested in.
I think it's very interesting that many students watching now have that new view and all this new information, and are aware of the fact that they can have completely really great experience, even if it's a community college, and not have the fear of, why does it have a different name? Is it bigger? Is it, if it's smaller? Is it whatnot?
Yeah.
And what's there to do outside of campus when it comes to the state overall, in the overall area?
Yeah. So the state of Washington is in the Northwest. Tacoma, I like to say, sits between the ocean and the mountains. So there's an inlet of the Pacific Ocean, and then there's a big mountain range with the highest peak in the continental U.S., which is Mount Rainier. It's a big snowy volcano that sits just off in the distance, really beautiful. So my favorite part about Tacoma is getting outside. You can go hiking, you can go skiing, snowboarding, biking, you can get on the water, kayak, sail, lots of really cool outdoor activities. And then for those of you who are like, ooh, that doesn't sound like me, there's also like tons of museums. So the art museum, a really famous glass artist is from Tacoma, and there's a museum in Seattle and Tacoma called the Museum of Glass. Really cool place for people interested in art and like unique forms of art to like learn and watch people make glass art. So that's a pretty cool thing. And lots of concert venues. So Tacoma has the Tacoma Dome, which is a pretty big concert venue. You know, people as big as Justin Bieber have been here to perform. And so pretty cool space to see concerts if you're interested in music. And that's in our city. People from Seattle come to Tacoma for the Tacoma Dome concerts. So not always going up to the city. Sometimes it's in reverse too.
And now that we have you here right now, what would be some like tips and tricks that in your experience you'd like international students to know or to learn about before going to a specific school?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to know that each campus kind of has its own personality, and you should find one that matches what you're looking for. Tacoma doesn't have on-campus living, so it's kind of in the U.S. they would call it a commuter campus where people come and go all day. But that means there's a lot of space on campus for people to just hang out and spend time together. You'll find the cafeteria constantly full of students just chitter-chattering, becoming friends. The library, great place to study, but people kind of stay during the day and hang out, and then they go home at the end of the day or they go back to where they live. And so finding, you know, what is the personality of the campus you're looking for? I said before, we're in a rural area, or not rural, urban area, so we're surrounded by lots of things to do. So definitely look into what's the feel that you're going for when it comes to your college or university experience. Yeah.
So taking the time to actually learning about the place, trying to match out, you know, what the student is looking for with the school itself and the surroundings, because, you know, the school is at a certain place that can be hot, warm, cold, big, small. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so to all the students watching, remember to always ask questions and try to learn as much as you can, because, you know, we're here to help, to answer all these questions and try to not be shy. In this particular case, now you know who you're going to talk to when you apply to Tacoma, so nothing to be afraid about.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. One final question that I think most of the parents watching with students would like to know. You mentioned that it's a lot less expensive to go to community college. So what would that cost be about in general for an international student?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, you know, building a budget is one of the first things that any international student should think about when coming to the US. You know, how much money can you reasonably spend on your education? And so Tacoma Community College international student tuition is about $10,000 for the year. It's just under, and that's paying in full. That's no scholarships. So again, already about half of what you would pay at a university. We offer some new student awards up to about $500 to help with books and expenses. And then our continuing students in year 2 can get about $1,000 off of tuition. So still around that $9,000 mark. The city of Tacoma is a lot cheaper than Seattle. So one of the perks of not going to the big city is that you can save a lot of money by being just a little bit outside of it. And so we estimate housing for the year to be about $6,500. So not terrible. You can definitely spend more than that, but that would be the average cost for a student either in our homestay program, living with a family, or renting an apartment with some of their friends. So pretty good price for the full year to have the tuition and living at about that 16,000 mark. Then you add, you know, your insurance, your books, and so you definitely want a little bit more, but overall, it's a really good price.
Okay, yeah, about 15 to 16,000 per year sounds pretty good to average it out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure students can spend more, but working on a budget can be something that many students are prioritizing. So now everyone watching knows that a little bit more. What I want to do now is take a minute to actually show everyone watching how to find Tacoma Community College on applywave. So I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. And there we go. So right now I am at Tacoma Community College's profile page, but I'm going to show everyone how I got to this particular page. Right now we're clicking to be on the homepage for applywave.com. Again, really easy to sign up. Just at the bottom right corner, click register with your Facebook or Google account, and then start searching. To find Tacoma, all you need to do is click on associate's degree. As we mentioned, 2-year program, write out the name, fill out, click search, and it'll take you straight to the pre-profile of the page. Then simply click on read more. Here you get the general information. As said before, a bit below 10,000 per year. And then once clicking read more, anyone interested in the community college will be able to see a short description, a few admission requirements, and all of the available programs the school has to offer, exact geographic location, and a short gallery with pictures and videos that are kind of give you that vibe of what the school experience actually like for the students, and might give you a bit of more information than what you've already learned here today. So
fantastic.
So any final notes, any final things you'd like to mention?
Yeah, I think the only thing I really want to mention is community college it's a really smart choice. I did not choose a community college when I went to university, and like many people in my position, we're still paying off student debt, owing a lot of money to the campuses that we studied at, and I could have saved $20,000 to $30,000 by starting at a community college. So it's a smart decision for anyone, and Tacoma really sits in a beautiful location in the US. So I encourage you to check us out and give a community college a try. It's a great starting point for your education, and we'd be lucky to have you on our campus.
I give a similar recommendation because likewise, when I searched for universities, I did not go abroad because I wasn't aware of this. So now you're watching, now you know. Katie, thank you for being here today, for all this wonderful information. And to everyone watching, thank you for being here today. See you next time. Bye.